If you could live green, would you? I'm Nick Federoff, host of Things Green, where we introduce nuggets of green lifestyle from gardening, upcycling, answering your questions, sustainability, even discussing environmental issues. You can become more confident in making the right decisions for you and your family. So come along as we are Things Green. Hey, welcome everybody. Have I got a treat for you? We are on a road trip of biblical proportions. Is that pretty good?
That's great. Perfect. Perfect.
So I had no idea that this place existed. I was on a road trip. I was doing some business. We ended up coming over, and I go, wait a minute. There's a botanical gardens in Kentucky of all places?
In Kentucky, that's right. Florence,
Man.
Kentucky. Well, not Florence. Petersburg, Kentucky. Really, really close to Cincinnati, about 5 minutes, right across the river.
Okay, very good. So how many acres do we have here?
Well, there's on this side, we actually have a creek that separates a couple of different pieces of land. There's about 35 acres that we care for, like you see now with all the different plant materials and everything. And there's another 30 or so on the other side. We actually have a leach field over there. We don't have city sewer, so we have a very, very large leach field.
Oh, yeah. No sewer. That's gross.
Yeah, it is
My
gross.
Goodness. How in the okay? I don't want
Back
to
to
get
nature.
I don't want to get back to nature first. So we're going to be pointing out plants that you have on the property.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I really encourage people to do all the time is to include a botanical garden when you travel. It's a lot of fun. Normally, they're all nonprofit organizations, and with this place, there's always special messages that you can find here.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you wanted to talk about that. That's an itchy plant.
It is a little bit itchy, yes, it can be. But what's so fun about it is it actually grows. We have a little bit of zone denial, what I call zone denial. One of the things I like to encourage people to do when we walk people around and talk to them about different plant materials is to read about the plant before you put it in the ground so that you're not disappointed with the results. For instance, hydrangeas, a lot of people are expecting it to turn pink or blue. Well, that's a certain species of hydrangea. It's not all of them. So you do need to read about it a little bit. This particular plant is a fig. You wouldn't think, we're zone 6A by the way, you wouldn't think that we could grow a fig. This is a Chicago hardy fig. But it really, the cool thing about this plant, it has a really interesting story. Most plants have the stem, the leaf, a flower, and then they set for the fruit. This plant is different. It doesn't actually have a flower because the fruit is the flower. It's called, a fancy word, enclosed inflorescent, just meaning a backwards flower. So you should read about that. It's really interesting. How does that get pollinated and things like that? It's a very long story I could go into sometime, but it's very interesting. So this one is another fancy word. It's called parthenocarpic. It means that the fruit does not need to be pollinated for it to ripen. Places like Southern California support different varieties that do need pollination. So it's a lot of fun talking about all these different things as we walk around the Creation Museum and look at all the different plant materials that we have.
And why in the world Adam and Eve made pantalones out of these things beyond me. This is super itchy. It is not a plant that you want to rub against your skin. It's just
but this is actually the one that's connected straight to Scripture.
Yeah.
This is the plant.
That is real fun. Okay, so it's interesting that you mentioned that because one of my challenge, I don't want to call it challenges. One of the things that I've talked about for years and years and years is the fact that I don't garden by zones.
Yeah.
I don't garden by zone. Where I live, I have every single growing zone in the United States within a 2-hour radius. Every growing zone.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it doesn't surprise me that you have that because it's all about what we call your micro environment. And the micro environment is just this little area. And I challenge you to do this. Take early in the morning and wet your skin. Just like with a towel or whatever, spray yourself. And then walk from your backyard to your front yard. And what's going to happen is that you're going to see a pattern, a changing of getting cooler and warmer, cooler. Those are jet streams that are actually typical, very typical, and they're patterns that stay there, and that's a microenvironment. That's why your plant's doing so well.
Yeah.
What else we got over here?
Well, we have a lot of fun stuff. We're going to, well, behind you. We're going to walk this way just a minute.
Brian, the camera dude, is getting knocked
there's
over
a
here.
lot of folks here at the Creation Museum today. Sorry, folks. Excuse us. Excuse us. No, you can't be in the way. You're in the right spot.
I thought she was talking about me. Can you believe that? What's
This plant, without question, is the most asked about plant, both here at the Creation Museum and the Art Encounter.
Okay.
This you would not expect to see in Kentucky.
No, not at all. But it also supports what I said about the microenvironment.
Yeah.
This
is a banana, by the way.
Yeah.
So this particular species is zoned to 6. As I already said, we're in 6. So what do you do when you have a really bad winter like we did last winter? When we cut these back, like we just treat them like normal perennials, we cut them back. We actually put mulch over each one of them to keep them warm. We put a blanket over them, each one of them in the winter. So
a blanket of mulchy means, not real blankets.
That's what we call a blanket. So this is interesting also because this isn't really a stem. This is called a pseudo-stem. It's a wrapping of leaves, leaf, 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 leaf. It's very interesting. When you cut this down and cross-section it, which I get to do with kids, it's a lot of fun. We peel off the different layers till we find the actual true stem, which is in the center. It's just a little white string that goes all the way up. A lot of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I think, and you know what? If you're going to have these, especially in Southern California, a lot of people want to put these by their pools. It's okay because there is humidity that comes off of it, because of the size of the leaves. You can burn the leaves.
Here's an interesting one.
Okay, what do we have here? Across
the country in botanical gardens, you'll see it's called a titan, Amorphophallus titan. And they show it. It's a corpse flower, and it's really stinky, and the flower only lasts for a day or two. This is a very close relative. This is called a konjac, Konjac. This is a very interesting plant because it actually flowers first. The flower comes up and you have this really vase-looking, crazy-looking thing, and it stinks. I mean, you can smell it all the way over there where we just
So this is a deciduous plant?
It is.
Because we don't grow this one, that at least to my knowledge.
Yeah, and what's interesting about it, if you look at the stem, it looks like a leopard almost.
Oh, look at that.
The word konjac, it's actually a gelatin in Asia. So this is just like our gelatin for Jell-O. They use this in candies.
No kidding.
That stem, yeah.
That is so cool. Look at that. This leaf. At first, I thought it was a rose, only because of the shape of this. But this is the whole leaf itself.
Yeah, there's
kind of wacky looking. Okay, what else we got?
Well, when I walk people around, I like again to talk to them about reading about something. You go to the store, you buy a plant. It says hydrangea. You put it by your house, and all of a sudden, it starts climbing your wall. It's a climbing hydrangea.
No
Most
kidding.
people don't realize there is such a thing.
This one's a vine.
Yes. Will it hurt the tree?
Look at that. That thing's going way up there.
Yeah, 25 to 30 feet is the normal max. So this one's about mature.
Now, this is the coloration of it? Or is it chlorotic?
It's chlorotic.
Yeah, okay.
It's a little bit chlorotic.
So it should be the dark.
It should all be that dark color green.
Okay.
So
but there's a lot of competition here. So.
There's competition in nature. You always have competition for water, sunlight, space, nutrition. That's where some of the nutrition things that Nick sells come in handy. We are experiencing really a lot of rain for our area, but then we get these really high. Right now, it's almost 90% humidity. So we have a lot of evaporation. We just have a lot of crazy things going on in the environment.
He's not kidding. I am sweating like a horse out here. It is so muggy.
It's crazy.
And you know what? I was looking at that, listening and watching for the weather. They're saying it's like you're going to have a huge storm tonight.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why I was suggesting under the canopy, because it could be here right
But
now.
it's like 90 degrees out here too, and it's like I'm melting.
You'll get used to it.
And you know the bad part about it, you guys don't have any waves for me to jump into.
No,
That's a lot of lakes and rivers.
The bad and sad part of it. We don't have it. You have a lot of this plant as well.
Nice.
This is an elephant ear. These are all over the country. This particular one's called pink china. You can see the stem is kind of a pink color. And believe it or not, for us, this is almost a weed. Once we plant this, we actually have to take measures to control it because it just spreads like crazy.
Now, what's interesting about this is that in Southern California, they grow it as a house plant.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the most desired plants as a house plant. People will pay for a plant that would be this size, $75 to $125.
Wow. I have a truck. And I have a lot of them.
If you can get over the border and try to sell it. And that's because plants have to be certified when they come into California. We just don't accept their weeds.
Oh. So can you ship out of California without any certification?
You know, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I'm going to call you about some plants that I would like to receive here.
Ooh, look at you, Mr. Sneaky. Yeah. You know, it all depends on what state, because you don't have to have certification here?
Not state to state.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, anything that goes into California goes into quarantine if it's an actual plant itself. And I was at a trade show.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was at a trade show last week, and it was pretty interesting because one guy said that he had some plants that have been quarantined so far. They've been in quarantine at the Department of Agriculture for 6 months already.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it insect or is it vascular disease?
They look at pathogens. They just look at everything. And if they don't know what the kind of plant it is, it's harder even to get through. You know. So if it was like this, banana over here, that'd be easy because that's just a slam dunk.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And by the way, you can't grow bananas by seed. Not everything is true on the internet except for my program. Okay. What else we got?
Well, we have a lot of fun, different kind of bamboo. A lot of different.
Oh, look
varieties.
how tiny this is.
Yeah.
This stays this height.
Well, this is Sasa, S-A-S-A. It's a Sasa japonica or Sasa subiana. It's a Japanese type of banana, or well, we have cats too.
Yeah.
Of bamboo. This one will get to be about chest high, maybe a little taller.
Okay.
But we like to regulate the height of that, so if it gets too tall, we do cut it back and it just comes right back. Now you have to be very careful with these because they are runners underneath the ground, not so far, only 5 or 6 inches, actually stems, and they will spread just like you see here. They will take over an area. So there is bamboo barrier that you can put in the ground and try to, I say try because it's very aggressive, try to contain the growth of these things because this is listed as an invasive species. So that's another thing you want to look at, your invasive species list, which you can get from your local state agency, which is connected to your local university. I always recommend people go there for current information about what's going on in their area, both plants and bugs and all of those different things.
Just call me, I'll help you.
There you go. Sorry about that, Nick. I didn't mean to X you out.
No worries there. But you have some typical plants here too. I mean,
right.
You know what? It's amazing to me how people don't use coleus more in California as a ground cover. These people use this all the time as just for hanging baskets.
It's beautiful. There's so many different varieties.
Oh, the shapes, the flavors that come out are just awesome.
Yeah, that one's Ruby Road, Main Street Ruby Road, and for us it's an annual. So zone 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So our cutoff is around Mother's Day. We'll put in our summer color, and then right around middle of October we'll have to pull all of these out, and then we put in our fall color. And for us, it's pansies. Pansies a cool season flower. Very durable flower. It stays in all winter, and we fertilize it in the spring and it comes right back. But it's a cool season, so come June or whatever, it doesn't look so good. So it comes out around Mother's Day.
And then you have a lot of color on the property.
Yes, a lot of different colors.
Good for you. All right, camera dude's good.
Whoa.
Camera dude just got bit by the cat.
Did he bite you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. It's his cat.
I couldn't have find
He brought it. I've never seen it before.
Guilty as charged. Fluffy.
You're standing under a fun tree. This one is a smoke tree. Look at the flowers, or the spent flowers. You can see they kind of look like
that's this right here.
of smoke. Yeah.
Look at that.
It's actually called a smoke tree.
You know, at first I thought, because you said fun tree, and I was going to make a joke saying, "Oh no, I'm a fun guy," but this is the actual spent flower of
Yes.
that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
It's white.
Now, what will happen to it? Will it eventually just fall off?
Yes.
Or
Yeah,
okay.
we don't do anything with them. As you can see,
Okay.
we do get wind here. We have snow occasionally 3 to 4 times a winter that we actually have to do something with. We get a decent amount of ice, but we do get wind, which causes some problems. You can see this tree actually moved. So we didn't want to remove the tree. We tried to prop it back up, and that's what these different things are that you see here. So we're trying to slowly move it back up.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? I think we're pretty much out of time over here because we have
could
other
go on
places
and
up
on,
right.
couldn't
Yeah,
we?
no kidding. So I want to thank you very much for giving us this little tour over here.
Well, I thank you for stopping by.
We have information
What a blessing.
on the screen over here for people to come to and where we're at and what they're doing and
Yep.
such. So much success with everything. And
Thank you so much for coming. I really
look
appreciate
forward to
the
helping
time.
you out in the future.
Thank you.
All right, take care. I got to tell you, I am so jazzed up about this because when you look around over here, it's like the Garden of Eden with dinosaurs.
That's right. Here at the Creation Museum, we believe that dinosaurs were in the Garden of Eden and lived with humans, which is not what I learned when I visited the Los Angeles Natural History Museums, because I grew up in LA. So I used to believe that, and now I believe according to the Bible.
You know, and it's interesting because I've come across people with faith, and they've never said that. I mean, you said the same thing. In other words, no, there's no such thing as dinosaurs. I said, well, how can you explain the bones then? There's bones. They found bones.
Yeah, you'll see some here at the Creation Museum, including an allosaur skull that's about 97% complete.
Wow.
And it's $1 million skull. Any museum in the world would want that.
Oh, that's that big old giant one. Looks like almost half horse.
Yes.
Yeah, the one with the long face.
Yeah, we do some puns around here.
Well, I think it's pretty fascinating. One of the things I like to do on my radio show, someone calls me and they ask a question, and I'll mention. I said, well, if you want to know how to keep the pterodactyl out of your place, when we walked in, there's a pterodactyl that's there.
Yeah, and we use dinosaurs as a way to teach our view of history according to the Bible. But frankly, a lot of children are fascinated by dinosaurs, and they'll say, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I want to come to the Creation Museum and find out more about dinosaurs.
Now, I have to tell you, I was so thrilled. For the fact that I was sad that I had never heard about this place, but I was thrilled that I heard about the place because I had heard about the Ark before, and we filmed an episode over there, fascinating beyond belief. And when we come over here, you've got the Garden of Eden inside. This is literally inside, and they're expecting crazy rain today.
Okay. Well, the rain and the Ark.
Oh.
And this is a depiction of Garden of Eden. Of course, we don't know exactly what it looked like, but we do our best research we can, and our artists try to conceptualize what it may have been like in that perfect place, the Garden of Eden. And as you walk further down the museum pathway here, you'll see that there was the fall in Genesis chapter 3, where Adam sinned and the whole world changed. The perfect Garden of Eden became imperfect.
Indeed. And with that being said, why aren't there any dinosaurs today?
I'm not a scientist, and there's all sorts of theories that they died out after the global flood of Noah's time because of an ice age, less vegetation, people hunting them for food or whatever. There's all sorts of different theories.
So the inspiration behind putting something like this together just doesn't happen in one night. And I would imagine it takes a team of people to bring everybody together to figure this out. Brian, the camera dude over there, and I were talking. He says, I believe that there was a lot of young people that have helped out, all the way to elderly people, and their talents were just amazing. Just to make these creatures, you got monkeys and things, and it's amazing.
Well, first you need a visionary, and that was Ken Ham. Ken's originally from Australia, and his vision of building a creation museum down under came with him here to America when he moved here. And then along the way, we picked up some very talented artists who took some of Ken's ideas and interpretations of Genesis and made them three-dimensional reality. And to be frank, a lot of the evolutionists who come here who don't believe in our messages, they will say this is maybe the best looking and most high-tech museum they've ever walked through.
Yeah, you have a lot of, I believe they call it animatronics?
Animatronics.
Animatronics.
Which
Okay.
we have dinosaurs that move very realistically, and of course children and teens.
Okay,
love
so
it.
where did I read someplace you had a guy from Universal that was
Yes.
helped put things together?
Yeah, it was a combination of Ken Ham, the visionary who has the ideas, and someone had to make them into reality, and that gentleman was Patrick Marsh, who sadly passed away almost 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But he worked at Universal Studios and theme parks all over the world. I mean, an absolute genius, believed in what we were doing, and this, what you're seeing here, is the culmination of Ken Ham and Patrick Marsh working together. Patrick grew up in the LA area, not far from you.
Oh, is that right?
And also attended UCLA.
Oh, okay. Go Bruins. Okay.
I'm sorry, I was a USC Trojan fan.
Oh, okay. So as we continue this interview,
He's walking away from me.
I just wanted to go to USC. Do you guys change the themes? Because I really don't know how a museum works. So do you guys change things to keep it fresh?
But yes, very much so.
Okay.
In fact, if you were here 3 years ago, the first third of the museum looked very different than what you see now. So we're always updating with new technologies, which, every 2 to 3 years, our planetarium projectors get much better. We have a high-tech one here. The basic message remains the same, but how we present it using technology and art, yes, that will change from time to time.
Okay, that's pretty neat. Now, I had the opportunity of being with Dale, and we took and we saw some of the plants that were out there. So the things that you guys do inside, does it carry out to outside as well?
Yeah, because we want our botanical gardens, and you talked to Dale about that, we want those gardens to also tell biblical truths. And so everything you see here has fingerprints of wanting to share that the Bible is true. But even on top of that, Nick, we present the gospel message through here of why Christ came to earth 2,000 years ago. So we're more than just involved in the book of Genesis. We want to show people that all of the Bible can be trusted, including Christ's gospel message.
Very interesting. I think I mentioned it to Dale, and I have it's a little 4-page pamphlet that I put together years ago, to which I don't have my name on there. I don't want any recognition for it. But there are, if I remember correctly, I've given away thousands of these. It's called Plants of the Bible.
Oh.
And we talk about how landscapes, we show you plants of biblical proportions, how those plants can be grown anywhere in the United States.
Well, Nick, did you see the greenhouses on the other side of the lake from the museum?
No, I didn't get it. He asked me if I wanted to go over there, and I just...
Well, next year we'll be growing plants that are mentioned in the Bible.
Oh, nice.
To augment the teaching that goes on inside the museum. These botanical gardens here are some of the most beautiful you see anywhere in the country. And here we are in northern Kentucky near Ohio, and we have banana trees out there that at this time of year might be 25 feet high.
Yeah, it's pretty wild out there. And
it's a jungle.
It is. And one of the neat things that we discussed was that it's really kind of neat because there's what they call microenvironments. Because if the truth was known, they have no business growing bananas out here in Kentucky, right? But because of that microenvironment, they're growing, and they're beautiful leaves. They're just huge.
And we have a large horticultural team just to baby them through the winter to make sure they'll come back in the spring.
Yeah. So what do you see the future of the museum and where it's going?
We continue to expand at the Creation Museum and at the Ark Encounter, 40 miles away. What you saw at the Ark is not even 40% of what we want to build according to the master plan. And this museum will continue to expand too because we're getting very, very good crowds. And on some Fridays and Saturdays in the summer, this area is just packed with people. So we have to add things to help kind of spread out the crowd.
Well, I'll tell you, we're bumping elbows with people over here, and everybody has a smile on their face.
But maybe they recognize you from TV.
I would only hope so. Well, with that, I appreciate you guys opening the doors over here to allow us to come in to see what this is all about. I am just so surprised that this exists in the first place. I love the idea of how you're incorporating things from outside to inside to outside, the realism of what's going on, and I'm not kidding. Everybody seems to be smiling over here, and that right there is really neat. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. We just had 3 children walk past us here, and they're the ones that we're trying to reach, because in their schools and on TV, they're getting a contrary view of the history of the world. And so we present the alternative here.
I greatly appreciate that. Much success and much continued success.
Hey, thank you, Nick.
Thank you very much.